Scott, who's in the Sabi Sands.
Well, it's not just the crew up in the Maasai Mara that are having some luck with elephants this afternoon. We've just headed out here in South Africa in the Sabi Sands and have stumbled upon this massive elephant bull who's doing exactly what I wish I was doing, just relaxing in the shade. It is a scorching hot afternoon, probably well into the 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I forgot my thermometer. I'm not sure where, but I don't have one, so I can't tell you the exact temperature. My name's Scott. I'm teamed up with Senzo on camera this afternoon, and we're looking forward to a great afternoon with you. We had a good morning out, or at least Noel did. There was leopard around and some lion around, and I'm told that the lions were actually chased onto Djuma by some elephants. So hopefully they've come a little bit deeper into our property. They were just to. You can see the whole tree shaking. What you'll also notice is that he's resting his trunk over his tusk. Now, I've often noticed that elephants that are in must will do that. It may also be elephants that are kind of snoozing like he is. But whenever I see an elephant doing that, I'm always just a little bit extra cautious of them, because when they are in must, they can be a little bit of a handful. But I have looked between his back legs, where ordinarily you would see a lot of moisture dripping from his penis if he was in must, but that is not the case. And what's also interesting about this spot is that I think this is one of the favorite places on the whole of the Djuma property that elephants. Very good shade. And if Senza has a zoom in below any of the trees, really, we'll see a whole bunch of elephant dung, and there always is just piles and piles of elephant dung all over the show. I think he's added some fresh stuff in the background there. There's some older stuff, and this is definitely one of the elephant's favorite bushwalk. It would be a great opportunity. Whole tree shaking again, a great testament to how big and strong these guys actually are. Now, we actually came into this specific spot because we did bump into a herd of elephants that were heading in this way through some quite thick vegetation, and they haven't arrived on the scene, so my prediction him, hoping though that he does. Will give this guy something to get out of the shade and move around a bit for. Right now. Well, the air is so hot that needs to be factored into the equation, Jen. It's like taking a kind of a deep breath of warm oven air. In terms of smell, I guess it smells quite earthy. I'm not picking up too much scent at the moment. It's kind of just like a regular smell. I'm definitely not smelling the elephants or their poop. The wind is blowing very gently from behind me towards this ellie, so he's certainly having no impact on what I'm smelling. And I guess the smells really tend to be the best I find in the early morning and late evening. Now it's just so hot that I guess I don't know if my like I say, it's simply not too fragrant at the moment. Richard, you're wondering if this elephant is possibly scared of us, and no, he's literally just gone to sleep. He's got his back leg crossed over there. He's got his tusks and head resting up against the tree like a pillow, and he's absolutely relaxed. Sorry guys, I believe you just had a moment of frozen picture there. So I will get back to James's question asking whether or not this elephant could be scared of us, and absolutely not. He's definitely not scared of us at the moment. Sometimes elephants may feel intimidated by us as humans, but we hear he's sleeping at the moment. I think he's gone into a deep sleep. He's resting his trunk. He's even resting the tip of his trunk on the ground, just laying it down. So he's certainly not concerned in the slightest with our presence. I wonder how long he's planning on snoozing for, because it'll be great to actually... Oh, well, he's just moved again slightly, but I think he is probably going to relax in the shade for quite some time, because it is simply so hot. Balsa, you'd like to know if Ellie bulls will ever track down cows that are in estrus, and yes, they definitely will. When the bulls are in must, they may be a little bit more proactive when it comes to seeking out the ladies, possibly a bit over-enthusiastic, but elephant bulls don't need to be in must in order to mate, and yes, I think they'll certainly pick up the scent of the females in must, and that would ordinarily get the guys with a bit of a spring in their step to chase along the herd and try their best to be the lucky guy. I've only seen elephants mating once. It was very early on in my career, and I hope it's something that we'll be able to share with you sometime soon. I'm not convinced alive just yet, so that is something to look forward to. If it has been seen, it's something worth looking forward to happening again. Very good. I think I want to stay with this guy. He's such an impressive bull. He's got massive tusks, and it would be wonderful to see what he gets up to a little bit later, and if that herd that was moving through this area, well, it looks like he's decided that it's enough time to sleep. Now you can see him heading off, and who knows, maybe he's aware of this herd that's not too far away from here, and Senzo's just having to alter the settings as he moves from a shady spot to a light spot. That's what you would have noticed there. Very good. Well, we're going to see if we can try and catch up with him. It is very thick in this area, so we may not be able to, and while we try and renegotiate the thick bush, we will be sending you back to Ralph, who has some kind of a bird.
Thanks, Scott. Yes, everybody, we've just been following that kukul, and he's flown into a little thicket on top of a little bush, and there's now another two individuals as well. And now that I'm on this side of the light, I can see that it's not a Senegal kukul. In fact, it's a white-browed kukul, and you'll see that very clearly if Archie goes in on that individual on the bottom right. If he turns his head, you can see the very clear white brow above his eye, and I wasn't seeing that earlier, and so that's why I was thinking the Senegal kukul. Now, James Richard, you're saying a white-browed kukul, that you love their call. Well, we've been hearing him call quite nicely, and we've said that it is lovely and fluid, but also that it is normally an indication of rain. And Archie and I were just chatting, saying, I wonder if it's going to rain, and if Archie goes out now, I wouldn't put it past these birds having gotten it right, because look over there in the distance, it looks like quite ominous weather building up. So I'm going to go with the birds, and I think we're going to get some rain a little bit later, because I really never hear kukuls calling except around rain, and it has always worked for me, and I'm sticking with that theory. So I think we're going to get wet a little bit later. Whether it's tonight or this afternoon, we're going to get rain, because these birds know. A lovely sighting of a white-browed kukul. So sorry if I put you off with the false identification being a Senegal cuckoo, but we do have it now 100% white-browed. A lovely red eye. Now, Sherry, you're saying that it sounds a little bit like an owl. It does a little bit like a hoot, 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 but it's a bit quicker, that hoot, and we say that that is a lovely African rain song. So it's beautiful. And there off in the distance with the storm approaching, hopefully it's going the other way so that we don't get too wet. Well, we always like the rain, but I think I'm going to start now making our way towards the hyena den. It's that time of the day. The sun has gone nice and down. But while I do that, let's send you on down to South Africa once again and say hello to Noel.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Noelle, and on camera today I have Ferg. Hello, Ferg. There's your thumbs up, and we're coming to you live from the Sabi Sands in South Africa. And we are on the hunt for the Styx pride of lions and one of the Birmingham males. We saw them for a little while this morning, and then had to share the sighting and leave them to other people to have a view. And Herbie was telling me when he got back that an elephant chased them away from the road. So we've just been checking the area, and then now I just got an update that one of the transfer vehicles that dropped guests off at one of the lodge saw them recently within the past couple hours. So we're going to go back to the main road and check on the main road. Sorry, Impala, I do love you and you're beautiful, but we're determined to find these lions. I would like to spend some good time with them today, this afternoon if we can, because this morning we only got a few minutes with them. Other than that, it's really, really, really hot here this afternoon. We're sweating under our hats. Hoping everybody's having a good day. And I'd be curious to know what everyone work. And then because it's so warm, I think we might eventually make our way to Chitwa Dam and see if we can get any elephants swimming or playing in the water. And today with this heat, I actually might get off and join them. James, you would like to know if we're going to see Tundi and her cub today. James, anything is possible. Unfortunately, she has moved her den site. Scotty D has been doing a really good job of trying to relocate that den site. We, unfortunately, have not been lucky in that regard. And as I say that, there's some elephants coming through, so I'm just going to come around the corner. We have not been as lucky in that regard finding her new den site. So, look, anything could happen. But because we don't specifically know where she is, and it's very, very hot right now, that's not where we're focusing at the moment, but hopefully we will focus there at some point, maybe tomorrow morning. I'm thinking tomorrow morning would be a good bet. There's a nice Ellie with the trunk up. Now, this is the area where we saw the lions this morning, so I'm hoping that actually these elephants are going to show us where they are. Elephants don't like lions. Elephants hate lions, and lions don't like elephants either, and they sort of chase each other around quite, and of course now you're jams, it's just us. So I have because he's coming from a very similar direction to where we came from. So we'll triple check again just now, but that means that we can sit with our elephants for a while and enjoy them while he looks for the lions. Now, this is a young male elephant, and he is definitely smelling something. He's interested in something that's not us. Come, elephant, where are these lions? Now, elephants don't like lions. So especially with like this, where there's small cubs, they're going to get out of the way rather than try to defend themselves. And when lions do get a chance to take an elephant down, it's a very specialized way of hunting. It's not just any pride of lions that can do this. It's a distinctive pride of lions that will be able to do that. Now we've got this young bull in front of us here smelling around. The wind's coming from behind me, and then just to our left we have more elephants that are coming through, and I'm hoping they're going to go to the dam. Because that is always fantastic. And then of course finding our lions for us. There's even more Ellies. Oh, there's a lot of Ellies around this area. What I would like to do is I just want to turn our vehicle around, if you all don't mind, just so that we can get the best viewing possible. And then I think what I might do is go sit up on the dam wall and wait for them to come. And while we're busy maneuvering around, let's head back to my friend Scott.
Yes, we are luckily in a good spot here where we can see watching snooze earlier, and that herd of elephants did actually meet up with him. We're not far from where he was sleeping, and they literally haven't moved. It's so hot that all of these elephants are like on a serious go slow. Look at all those youngsters sniffing the big male. That's really cool to see. And I love the elephants are so civilized. They seem to me, most of the time, that they're a very civilized bunch and very orderly. Who knows? Been throwing his size and weight around, and he's also decided to just walk in the perfect spot for us to get some great views of him. Now, what I'd be very interested to know is exactly how he kind of communicated with them. Did he communicate with them? Before they arrived and before he headed off from his sleeping place? He could well have. Oh, this is interesting. That female is not too interested in his advances, but it seems like he's not giving her a hard time. And it looks like, I think, now that he said hello to all of them, I think he's just been like, oh, these ladies aren't much fun. I was having a lot better time in the shade. Don't take it personally, ladies. I think he's just grumpy because of the heat. I'm sure you're a wonderful bunch. Oh, we just got a question through. I didn't copy the name. Well, I did actually copy the name. I've just forgotten it. But somebody would like to know, how big is an elephant's heart? And I don't know, but I would guess that it would be the size of 2 to 3 soccer balls. Handicap Vision, sorry I forgot your name, but it's a good question. I'm glad you've asked it. It's one that I haven't been asked before, and that doesn't happen very often out here. So, well done for giving us a kind of out-of-the-box question that ordinarily isn't really one that we would be asked. And like I say, I would guess 2 to 3. But I'm sure there's a lot of you already furiously typing away, trying to do some research and homework into how big they actually are. Now, I am also assuming that I'm assuming that we're going to talk about the biggest elephant possible, so a big elephant bull's heart. So yeah, I'd guess 2 to 3 soccer balls. It'll be interesting to know what Taylor's guess is, or maybe she knows the exact answer. Why don't you go and ask her, because you're heading straight back there now.
Well, doesn't a giraffe weigh 12 kilograms? My goodness, what was that? I don't know what noise that was. Anyways, we're being surrounded by them at the moment. Hello, little one. Now, look how curious it is. I'm just going to duck out your way. You're a young boy. You look like it. No, you're not. You're a young girl. Your head's very round. Anyways, there was a cow that was leading the front of the herd. She didn't look like the matriarch. She was one of the younger ones. Anyway, just eager beaver. She was not happy with us. It was actually incredible displacement behavior that she was showing us. Well, showing Manu. And she eventually settled down with us, which was quite nice. She actually started feeding instead of pretending to feed. This is so cool. I think this is the closest I've had elephants like walk past me from a distance and approach us. We did move away from that elephant that wasn't happy with us. We gave her quite a bit of space, and then she eventually settled down. They've done everything. They're on the move. They've eaten. They look like a bit been very busy. So we are making our way towards the marsh, where hopefully we'll catch some of the elephants doing exactly what I've just explained to you. Well, we're seeing them eating, of course. We always see elephants eat most of the time. It's very rare when we don't come across elephants that are feeding. And then you're the last one, girl. Are there any more? There's one big cow. This is actually the biggest cow of the group. That's just coming. Going to see around. I was having whole conversations with the elephants earlier just to try and settle them. Now, Jenny, you're wondering why are elephants important to the world? Well, just because they're elephants and they're magnificent creatures. However, they are very important to the ecosystem. I mean, they're largely responsible, as well as in this area, the wildebeest and the buffalo and of course, the elephants, of turning tall grasslands into short grasslands. Elephants turn forests into smaller wooded areas. They help, open a lot of dense places, but they also do a lot of destruction if they're in an area that's too small for them. So back in the day when there were no fences and they could just go wherever they wanted, they weren't impacting areas too much. So if you've ever followed any of the studies, though, and you've read about, particularly in Kruger, it's actually astonishing how herds of elephants will come through and decimate an area but move out, and then it recovers fairly quickly. However, when they're enclosed in a small space, they have to keep feeding heavily on the same type of vegetation. They never just get a chance to recover. And that's actually happening down in a national park called Addo Elephant Park. It's quite crazy. And I think I've told you this before, where you can actually go to Addo Elephant Park and in the Eastern Cape. And there's a spot that they've had fenced off, I forget for how many years, but there's been no slope and things like that, but no big elephants, and the devastation is incredible. Well, what's around it? The vegetation is obviously nicely reserved in the fence, but our elephants are moving off, and we're going to head to a new group. It seems as though, I think it was Ralph that has got some hyenas.
Thanks very much. And wow, we don't just have some hyenas. We've managed to find the true den. Yesterday we thought we had found the den where we had that little cub with mommy, but like Archie said a little bit earlier, maybe that was just the daycare, because we went exploring around a little bit in the area and we've found the real den. So here we've got a number of cubs running around. We've got some adults mixing in with them. There's been a little bit of nursing going on, suckling from the females. But what an absolute magical find this is. I am absolutely stoked. This is one of the most amazing sights I have ever seen, and I do love hyenas. But to find a den site with this amount of individuals is absolutely amazing. Got little youngsters there, all range of ages. The females normally have between 1 and 2 cubs of their own, sometimes a third. And generally the males, when they are adults, they normally average at about 60 kilograms, which would be around 120, 150 pounds. So not very heavy, but the females, they'd be about another 50 pounds heavier than that. But these little babies, they'll start to change color quite soon. Now, everybody, this is a lovely little encounter, so we're going to be doing an action broadcast. Just so that you know, I'm going to be reintroducing everybody and just run through the little story that has been unfolding here. All right. Yes, welcome everybody, and well, we've managed to find the true den site of this hyena clan. Yesterday we thought we had found the den site, but it appears that we were wrong. That one female with the little cub, she had moved off in this direction when we left her, but it seems that we've now found the real den site with a number of different females with cubs here. You know, they normally have between one and three cubs of their own, and I've already counted more than 15 cubs here. The one female's been lying in the mud, and so the cubs have been trying to suckle on her, but it's a little bit of a mud-coated nipple, and so probably a little bit difficult for them to get the milk, and it's probably tasting a bit of mud. But what a fantastic little scene this is. There's all sorts of contact calling going on, little squeaks and chirps, and the cubs are all running around, a little bit playful, but also trying to get in with mommy's milk. And there is a little bit of laughter coming through. Now, Mary, you're saying such precious little things. Well, absolutely, they are precious little things. However, they can be quite deadly, even from a young little age like that. If they are born to a dominant female and a high-ranking female, very often the firstborn can even eat the two younger born, or the one younger born, however many were born. And it can be quite disturbing that such a young little animal can actually kill its sibling and eat him. But that is the way of hyena. Now, Jolanda, you're wondering if these animals would attack me or attack us. No, they are very happy with us being around them, and they're just continuing with their normal behavior. There's a few car tracks that have come in here, and I'm sure it's from the researchers who have been coming in here and monitoring these animals and watching their behavior, and they've been monitoring them for over 10 years. So they've got a lot of data on them, and I'd like to access that at some stage. But while we're here, let's just watch what they do and see what happens. There's a lot of cubs out at the moment, and I'd like for you to listen out, because there is quite a lot of communication going on between them. Look at that mom full of mud. Shame. Hasn't made it easy for the youngsters. Now, Jennifer, thanks for your comment, saying that it's so precious. Look at all of them. A little bit of a family tiff. See, even at that young age, they can be quite aggressive. They've got to sort out their hierarchy from very small. And even the adults, they won't get involved with a higher ranking youngster. So they need to be careful too. It's very political with hyena, and they all know their place. You're wondering if they're the same mother? No. They'll all be from different mothers, and this is a very big clan. It's 80 plus individuals. So these are all from different mothers, and as I say, there's normally between 1 and 3 cubs. We don't call them pups, they're actually cubs, and sometimes from a higher ranking female, the eldest can actually eat its siblings. It's an absolutely amazing social behavior with hyena, and something that I want to actually witness firsthand. And now that I've found this here and see how things evolve, and maybe we'll even come and spend some evenings here and see what they get up to during the night. And we could even put on the infrared, or maybe see them going on hunts. We could see a whole host of different things that the hyenas get up to. Now, Yusuf, you're wondering how old they are. Well, I think these cubs are ranging pretty much. I haven't seen one much younger than a month, but there's all the way up to over 18 months. And that's when they pretty much suckle up until they get rather large. And that's actually quite an old age for a hyena cub to be suckling from the mother. But those ones there, once they start to get their adult coloration, they are already a few months old. So I would put that one probably between 4 and 6 months. But the other ones are a little bit younger than that when they're totally black. Now, Susan, you're wondering when they would start to hunt. That normally comes in at about a year, 2 years actually, past the 18 months. Once they stop suckling from the mother, then they can start to move with the clan and start hunting with them as well. But with them having such a dynamic social structure, individuals just that they could be taking on this pride of Ngama lions, for instance. I mean, we're only talking about 15 lions there. So just remember, my name is Ralph Kirsten, and we've got Archie on the camera, and this is such an amazing sighting that we've got here. It is one of those out of this world encounters. But if you've got over 80 individuals, the lion prides around need to be quite careful. Now, Roshni, you're wondering at what age they start to develop spots. It's normally just under a year of age. So that one there, you can see the spots start developing, but once they get the tan color of the mother, it's normally just under a year. So they do start to get a little bit of the spots from 6 months, but then they start to get the fawny color, and once they hit even 18 months, they almost look like mini adults, but they are still suckling from the mother at that age. So it's quite an old age for them to be suckling and looking like mini adults. And I do think that the dark color that they are like that is so that when the adults stash them in the holes that they do leave them in, they are well camouflaged with the darkness of the background of the hole. And these little cubs have been going around suckling from their mum. Now, Catherine, you're wondering why it's so rare to see hyena cubs. Well, because they normally choose their den site in secretive locations. And we've been lucky enough that we've persisted, and we've found out from some locals that have been around for a long time that where the area that these hyenas have got their den. And I've been hanging around in the area where we've been seeing a lot of hyenas and exploring with the complete intent of trying to find this den site. So I got a few clues from people in the area, and eventually today we were able to find it. And so from now on, I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time here, and I'd love for all of you to join me and see the dynamics change and the daily goings on of a hyena clan and den site. Now, Angela, you're commenting that these hyena cubs look like bear cubs. They do a little bit, don't they? Especially with that dark color and a reasonably large head, very big ears. But we don't get any bears in Africa, so we're sitting with the hyenas, and it is absolutely amazing. Look at these youngsters playing in the grass. Now, there's a lot to be said about hyenas, but I don't want to spoil it too much by talking too much, because it's just great to sit and watch them. Remember that the females are larger than the males, and they do have a pseudo penis, so it's not necessarily that you see a penis, you think it's a male. The females actually have one too. It's not used for mating, more for greeting ceremonies and dominance displays. But seeing a penis on a hyena does not mean that it's a male. And the females actually have larger display penises than the males do, which is absolutely intriguing. There is a fallacy that female hyena can change their sex if there were not enough males around. This was thought of in the past almost that they are hermaphrodites, but the research and the reading that I have done has shown that it is not true. But if you've got any points to make along that line, please feel free to send me any messages on Twitter, or send it through to Wild Earth Safari Live, and we'll discuss it, and we'll see what is the real truth behind it. Because all I can tell you is what I've witnessed and what I've researched and read and learnt in my experience, but I don't put it past anybody knowing any better than me. So if you've got any information, pass it on, and let's put it in the pot and see what we can come up with. But we're going to have lots of time to mingle with these animals. Now, Shelley, but it's not obviously a suckling role, and the males being a lot smaller than the females, they are around the outer edges of the clan, because the females are quite dominant over them and don't allow them too close, but they do assist in the hunting and bringing back of food for the youngsters, so they are involved, but a little bit of a sideshow, if I can say that. And there's a couple of them being a little bit curious coming here on the side. There's a few angels around, and we don't want to scare the little cubs. So they do come quite close to us, but then they almost get a little bit nervous and then run back. Hyena, they are almost trying to go and say hello to. It seems like they're a little bit scared. And if you see individual hyenas, such as this one off to our right, sitting a little bit away from the den, it normally means that they're a little bit lower ranking within the clan. And you can have hyena in this area, but hanging a little bit away, and it's normally the further away that they are positioned, the lower down they are within the clan. So it gets very interesting, and that's why for us to sit and watch, it just brings out new information every day. See the little youngsters very curious in wanting to go over and say hello to that hyena there. And there's the female once again with all the mud. She's obviously been lying in a wallow, and now the grass is stuck to her side. She looks quite comical. That's a really funny looking hyena, that. When have you ever seen that? A mud/grass covered hyena with cubs running around all over the place and even trying to suckle on that female through the mud. Shame. I don't want to be her child trying to get milk with muddy flavor. But wow, what an amazing experience. And folks, I'm very happy to have brought this to you, and as I say, there's going to be lots more of this, so I hope you keep watching Safari Live, and we'll try our best to bring you more amazing experiences every day. And once again, my name is Ralph Kirsten, and you've been watching us with the hyena clan in the Maasai Mara in Kenya. Okay, folks, so thanks for your patience, and just on that little live action broadcast, I'm sure we're going to have a few of those while sitting near to this den. I really hope you're enjoying this, because we're getting quite a bit of airtime here, and I'm hoping that we'll get a whole lot more, because I can tell you that I'm so excited that we've found this den. It is going to make for absolutely epic encounters here, and we're going to come here lots and lots. So, with the amount of time that we've spent here, we don't want to keep it all to ourselves, even though as amazing as it is, we do want to send you back on down south to South Africa, to Scott, who's got a very long-billed bird to show you.
With Ralph at the hyena den site, and well done to him. We've been spending time with this lovely lady, and she's been having to be quite patient, because she's a bird that likes to hunt in small shallow ponds, but sadly not necessarily small shallow ponds, more shallow. She obviously didn't feel very comfortable that there was two Inyala that came to drink while we were waiting here patiently, enjoying the shade, and also waiting for Ralph to finish his business with those hyena. Now, I'm not convinced whether it's our presence now that's preventing her from coming closer, or it's just that she is relaxing around. On this hot day, you can see she does have her beak wide open, panting. It's been an incredibly hot day, so I'm not too sure what we should do, whether we should leave and let her get back to her business. I wasn't convinced that it was us that scared her. I thought it was the Inyala bulls that kind of made her a little bit nervous. But the fact that she hasn't moved closer to the water since they've left is making me feel a little bit naughty. Not naughty, but a bit awkward, I guess, because we don't want to prevent her doing what she was doing before we got here. Scarlett, you would like to know how tall is the stork, and I would say between 110 centimeters and 120 centimeters when its head is kind of held upright as it is now. So just over a meter. Come on, come back to the water's edge. I know there's lots of frogs in this little pond because I've seen them before. Some of you may remember coming past here on a bushwalk that I did, and we found a whole host of little frogs. Actually, most of them were not in the water. They were on the kind of water's edge in a little thicket of grass. Used to come on. down and do some hunting. And it's looking promising. Now, after this, we are going to probably head off in search of Shadow, a female leopard. I'm guessing it was her that was found this morning with Noel. Sean, you suggesting that this lady could quite easily be a supermodel with legs this long, and yes, she certainly could strut herself down a catwalk. It's not just her long legs. I think they are very pretty birds with their quite funky coloration on their... No, I wouldn't like to be a frog having those beady eyes keeping an eye on me. That is for certain. And it looks like we are in luck. She is back at the water's edge. King Quad, you're wondering what that kind of hole on her chest is, and quite a few birds actually have that. A lot of them you'll only notice it when the wind blows accordingly, but with the saddle-billed storks I've noticed it's often more evident. But a lot of birds have a bare patch there, but like I say, it's only correct weather. In the correct weather, in the correct direction. Why exactly the saddle-billed storks always have that little bare patch, I'm not too certain. You can hear a few woodlands kingfishers calling off in the distance. Now, I forgot to mention a little bit earlier, we had some viewers come and visit a little bit earlier, and they were a wonderful couple, Ian and Mel. They live in South Africa, so they weren't international viewers, who, to be honest, are the majority of our viewers and therefore our visitors. So it was great to have them here, and a lot of that you will know them because they started a group, and I think a lot of you are on this group where you chit and chat during the safaris. And speaking of chitting and chatting, on Chitty Chatty Megs. So Chitty Chatty Megs, if you are watching, we'll give you a little special shout out, and it's great to know that you guys are all supporting us all over the show. And of course, when people do come and visit, it's always so wonderful for us to get to meet and see Chitty Chatty Megs, and also thanks to Ian and Mel for popping in for a visit. And if any of you would like to come and visit, it's very easy. Just pop an email to us before you come into the area, and we'll coordinate everything and make sure we make a plan. Now, what is your plans, lady? You came to the water's edge and now you moved away, which makes me think you may be a little bit nervous of us, so we will leave you be. Thank you for having us. We hope you catch lots of frogs while we're away, and we're going to be sending you guys back to Ralph and the hyenas.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, well, it's a laugh a minute here. We're having all sorts of things going on with these cubs. There's been a little bit of an older cub that has shown himself off there on the left-hand corner, and it seems this one is probably around the 18 months, heading towards 2 years old. It's still quite fluffy and got a little bit of brown on it, and it looks like a young female, but been trying to move through the clan and even tried to suckle a minute ago, but the female that she tried to, I think, suckle from, was not quite happy with that. So it was a little bit of a snarl, and then she moved off, and all the little cubs were trying to bite her and play with her. And now, Sally, you're wondering if hyenas hunt honey badgers? Well, it's quite a difficult animal to hunt, regardless of whether you're a lion or a hyena, because a honey badger really fights back well. So it's quite possible that hyenas can try to hunt honey badgers. Well, whether they will be successful or not is another question, because a honey badger is a very good fighter. And the problem with them is that they can, no matter where you grab them, where the hyena grabs them, behind the neck or on the back, wherever they get them, the hyena will be able to bite back, because they've got such loose skin that they are able to turn their head regardless of where they are grabbed, and they can bite them back. So, folks, this is now going to be pretty much a daily occurrence for me, I think. And so, from one big predator to another, we're going to send you on down to South Africa and Noel, who's with Hosanna.
We have a surprise for you on your screen. Now, I know who this is. Can you all see who this is? Can you maybe make a guess to see who this is? I'm really excited about who this is as well, because I don't get to see this leopard as much as I would like. So this little leopard was found by one of the Chitwa vehicles, so we have to say thank you very much to them. He was seen, I'm giving little clues, he was seen around 2:30 by Chitwa Dam, and then we came and gave a hand, and he popped out here in the drainage line, and it has just dropped about 10 degrees, which is fantastic. We've got big cloud cover coming over, so because it's dropped temperature, he is getting used to, or not used to, he's moving, he's deciding what he's going to do, and there is a lot of food around for him to hopefully hunt and give action with this one. We also need some action, so there's your big clue. He's so beautiful. He has a very distinctive, what we would call necklace around his throat there. So that's going to be one of his defining features, other than the usual spot pattern that we use. The other defining features is that his eyes are yellow golden, straight through. There's no other tinge there. He's just about 2 years old, and he traverses quite a few properties. So I'm hoping that you guys have figured out by now who this little boy is. It is the Prince of Djuma and his little Hosanna. Very excited to be looking at him now. So because of the drop in temperature now with the cloud cover, and because we're close to the water, he's actually picked a really good spot, because a lot of the species that need to come and drink before it gets too dark are going to either come past him, or the wind is going to blow their scent enough for him to figure out that they're around. And he's also going to be able to use decide to hunt, and he just carries on. When he goes for a drink of water, we're hopefully going to get some really excellent views of him getting to Chitwa Dam. So I'm going to do my best to stay with him as long as possible. It doesn't seem as if it's going to be a very busy sighting, as the Birmingham male and the Styx and Gala are south of Gowrie, Main, in Little Gowrie, just south of Baboon Pan. We can't access that area, but a lot of vehicles have gone over there, so they're busy with that side. I know Scott's going to try and relocate on sort of 3 drives. We've had Tinkana, Kachaba, Hosanna, and Shadow. Well, now we just need a little bit of Tundi love. Do leopards have to kill? Now, Edward, leopards are very variable with their diet. They can eat baby mice, they can eat scorpions, they can eat impala, they can eat duiker and steenbok. Even big males will go for things like baby giraffe. So when they haven't managed to kill anything large, they sort of snack along the way. They'll even eat guinea fowl. If for some reason they can't get to baby mice and guinea fowl and scorpions and the smaller things, then they really only need to make a kill once or twice a week, depending on the size of the kill. They are very good at taking care of themselves, and also because they have a protein diet, and they usually stuff themselves. It doesn't have to be every day. All right, from one amazing predator to another amazing predator, Taylor is up in the Maasai Mara, and she's got some cuteness that she would like to show you as well. So let's head on up to her.
I feel as though these are my best friends, Noelle, these 4 jackal pups that I've been following for some time now. We saw them this morning off with the adults, heading somewhere. I don't know where they went. And now they're back where we found them initially, but they don't have any full bellies, so they obviously didn't get a big meal. Hello, little one, in the lovely golden grass. Isn't that cool? No, don't run right past the cars. We're going behind us now, so now I need to... You look at this. Hi, little jackal. I know you're watching the tent blow. Now, this is incredible. This is the most relaxed jackals I've ever seen in my entire life. Still carrying on, and I was even able to reposition. Manu, did you see that? Those white wings. You see there's that dead tree that's sticking out? Okay, and then your top left-hand corner, in that tree, in the fork of that tree. Yeah, go a little bit to the left. There we go. Bottom left-hand corner. Look what else is there. Well spotted. Southern ground hornbills as well. 2 of them. Very far away, just bouncing on the branch. What caught my attention was when they were flapping their wings, and I could see the white paneling underneath them. That was so cool. What a nice way to sort of end the day. And then the rest of the jackals, you might be able to see them. They're just moving in the distance, far away in the grass. So that's so cool that we got to see them first thing in this morning, and then we got to see them in the afternoon. I'm quite happy to look at these beautiful creatures every single day. Edward, you said that you love the jackals. Me too. But now sadly they've all disappeared behind the vehicle, and we have to start heading home. But that was very cool. We just wanted to show you that we did see them, because I know you're all attached to the jackal pups just like I am. So I thought that I could not just pass them by. We'll also, as Ralph likes to say, hot-footed back home. Although I feel like Ralph has got a bit more hot footing to do than I do. I'm not too far away from home. Oh my goodness. Joy in Hong Kong, you're wondering what happened to our collective poem. No one else gave any more credit. Well, lines. Only Christine helped me out, and then I didn't even finish it. I completely forgot to mention it today. I was supposed to. Maybe we can try and do it tomorrow morning, or the next afternoon sorry, my mic pack has fallen again. It's got my hair. It's the funniest when that happens. I'm like stuck like this. Anyway, so Joy, I think we won't put too much pressure on anyone today. I haven't heard anything. If anyone has added a few more lines to what we started off with this morning. So maybe I'll post a picture a bit later, and then I'll give you a chance to have a look and see what we've got and see where you can keep adding. But I definitely think those jackal pups deserve a poem, don't you? We see them enough. They're like the stars of the show at the moment. So I'm very happy to see them, and I'm going to be very sad when they disperse and they head off. I'm hoping that they keep coming back for a little bit, and that we can try and figure out where they move to, because I'd like to follow them for as long as possible. It'd be really nice. Right, oh goodness, we're heading straight towards the Golden Light. It's so beautiful, but we're going to have to start heading towards the escarpment now. And while I navigate my way down there, let's go back across to Noelle and Hosanna.
So we've moved around for another view of Hosanna. We had another vehicle that came to join us, and because we're such a tiny little short body vehicle, we can squeeze ourselves into places that some of the game viewers can't. So we moved around, and I'm actually quite happy with this view that we have here. He's actually looking a little bit more full than I would expect him to. Maybe after Scott was finished with him yesterday and through this morning, he managed to get a couple of those small piglets. You never know. It's also possible that he maybe has a kill somewhere near here that we just haven't seen. This drainage line's very difficult to access, so we're lucky that he pulled himself out of where he was before, so that we can actually view him. So you can just see there on the right hand side, he's just got a little bulge, not a huge bulge, not as large as Tingana was the other day, but big enough. And he is still breathing heavily because it was so hot, but this temperature drop is absolutely magnificent, not just for him, but for myself and Ferg as well, because there's no shady spots around here. Scarlett, you'd like to know, do male leopards always spend time by themselves alone? Scarlett, in general, both male and female leopards tend to be solitary. The only time, one of the few times that you tend to see leopards with female leopards with another one is when they have youngsters. Now, that being said, where we are here in the Sabi Sands, are slightly an exception to the rule. Leopards have what's known as random distribution patterns rather than a clumped distribution pattern like lions. So you can get one and then travel very far and then have, one or two. For us here, because of the type of soil we have, which gives us such hardy vegetation that is very palatable, it's easy to eat, which means we get a lot of prey species. That also means we get a high abundance of predator species. So because of that, we get behavior in leopards here that you don't always see everywhere else. So we routinely see 2, 3, 4, 5 leopards in a sighting. But in general, if you want to take it as a sort of rule of thumb, male leopards and female leopards are usually on their own, yeah. But take that with a pinch of salt, because they don't read the books, hey? Everything's different. Yes, he blends in so well. So from where we are, we can see him nicely, but where we were before, because there's just a little bit of grass in front of his face, and then the color of the soil that's here, that allows him to camouflage with barely anything around him. And that's sort of what he's meant to do, is he's meant to be in the open and still be hidden at the same time. It's good for his hunting patterns. Maximus, great question. You want to know, would Hasana be a threat to Tingana's territory? Now, normally with a little male leopard like Hasana, he would have to move away from his natal area and around this age and sort of go off and look for either open spots or just spend a couple years getting larger and then fight to take over territory. But because Tingana and Mbula are both older male leopards, and because there's Hasana and also Tamba, as well as a couple other males that are sort of popping their heads up, I don't think he's going to go too far afield, and I do think that he is eventually going to be a threat to Tingana. Know what Scotty D thinks of the scenario, but my personal gut, so when Hasana about 4 years old, we're going to see him really push out Tingana because of how the age. Because their territories keep shrinking after they get sort of ousted from their main core territories. But yeah, I do think that that's a distinctive possibility. Sorry for the noise in the back. We just have one of the vehicles from Chitwa that's leaving us to carry on to go look for something else. There, he's picked up his head just to listen a little bit. The wind's starting to pick up with these rain clouds moving through. I don't think it's going to rain right now, but I do think maybe within the next hour to two, there might be a minimum of 60 millimeters to really get this bush going. Scott and I were chatting about it today, and all of the green is now starting to turn brown, so we need some good rain. Even though it's the rainy season here, rain distribution patterns within the Lowveld area are very particular per area. Scarlett, you'd like to know what age Hasana will be ready to mate. So Hasana technically has all of the abilities right now to be able to mate, but he's not quite there. It's very similar to humans. You, as a very young teenager, have all the bodily functions of being able to mate, but your maturity level is not necessarily there. So he'll probably start mating with females roundabouts when he becomes fully different. I know that at 2.5, 3 years old, he just went through this funny little growth spurt and managed to find a niche for himself that no male was occupying, and started all of that process a little bit earlier. And I also know males who took about with females because their territory surrounds the territories of 3 to 4 to 5 females. I'm loving all the questions, everybody. For those that might just be joining us, and it's so amazing, we have 2 viewers who have told us this morning and yesterday afternoon, oh my goodness, Safari Live, I just found you, and have started interacting with us. So for any of those viewers that might be watching who are new, please do. And for any of you silent viewers, we love hearing from you. Don't be too silent. There's a little yawn. So don't forget, you can ask us questions or make comments on hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter or through the YouTube chat. Or if we do an action broadcast on whatever platform we're doing action broadcasts on as well. Sean, good question. You want to know if we have panthers in Africa. So panthers are one of the large 8 cats across the world. And Sean, no, it's not one of the large cats we get here. In Africa, we get cheetah and lion and leopard. Those are the 3 big cats that we get. Panthers you will find in parts of South America and Central America. We do get melanistic leopards, though, if that helps. So melanistic leopards are leopards that have an over-pigmentation. So you'll see rosettes, but not like this. The whole coat will be black, and then the rosettes will be sort of shining through the back end. There's a nice yawn. Sorry, everyone, we're having a few gremlins that are knocking at our door, a little bit of picture breakup and sound breakup. It does happen. We are live, and with the weather changing like it is where Ferg and I are sitting, it's bound to bring a few of the gremlins out. As you all know, when gremlins get wet, they turn crazy, and there's rain on the horizon in the next couple of hours. So now Hassana is yawning away, and that means he's possibly going to start moving in the next couple of minutes, and you can see that big, beautiful rain. Careful, Ferg, there. The things there, rain cover there. Oh, sorry. There we go. So a leopard will always have rosettes, Hampus, but sometimes what you'll see with the melanistic leopards is that it looks completely black until you take a closer look. Now, Hassana has started to stalk something. I have a feeling it might be a little bird or a lizard. I can't see anything else that he might want to do, or to catch, rather. Now, unfortunately, to give the other vehicles a little bit of space, I wonder. Of some sort, or possibly a lizard, maybe a little scrub hare, or maybe he sees something on the damn wall that I can't see at the moment. That would be another possibility. So I was thinking he saw something right there. I'm just going to let him go forward a little bit more, and then I will move the vehicle. It's not going to disturb anything. All right, I'm just going to move around just a bit, just so we have a better view. Just stay with me, everybody. I feel like whatever is happening with him is behind the damn wall there. And so I just want to move around so that when he starts to run, we'll get a good view of it. All right, now I do have 2 other vehicles that are with me here, so we are just going to have to keep that in mind. All right, so we've moved forward enough. This is about the best that we can do for any sort of visual with him. Notice how he went right in front of that vehicle and he went right under the tracker's feet. He's very used to us. We're part of his natural environment. It's also a very tricky move to decide when to move the car and when not to move the car. I've been doing this quite a while. Every now and then you don't do it correctly, but you could see from what he's doing when he got past that little dark spot that that's not where he was looking. Did. Now he can still see whatever it is interesting him, and I'm actually wondering if it's something in this tree now that I'm saying that. I'm still thinking maybe on top, because it's not right on top of the dam wall. It's possibly went below the dam wall. All right, guys, we're just gonna go over to an action. Hello, everybody. Live, 100% live from the Sabi Sands in South Africa, where started to stalk out of the drainage line that he was in, and he's caught his eye on something. Now, we can't decide if it was something that was on the dam wall that went behind the dam wall, or if it is possibly some birds that are catching his eye, but we're going to stick with him. He was doing the crouching and then lying down and crouching and slowly moving forward. He's just laid down now, so whatever he is stalking, he's biding his time slightly. Now, far in the distance, I can see some impala, and they are not too far from the water's edge if they were to start move down. From where we are here, they're a little bit too far for him. So I think that there's something else that moved along to go and grab a drink, and he's just being absolutely patient. I can also see it's going to be possibly out of frame for the camera. There are impala that are about 100 meters, which is about 100 yards from us at about our 9 o'clock, that might also possibly move down. So there's a lot that's happening here. So we're just going to have to decide how we move with him when he starts moving. And Philip, you've just joined us and you're saying perfect sighting. It is indeed, Philip. This is a sighting that is full of... Sorry, Philippa. Excuse me, Philippa. This is a sighting that's full of potential. Now, interestingly enough, earlier we were talking about what does a leopard eat. Now, Hassana likes things like steenbok and duiker. Those are all antelope species that we get here in southern Africa. If you're still not sure what an antelope is, it's very similar to a deer. We don't get any deer in sub-Saharan Africa. We just get antelope, but the body shape is very similar. So now you're asking, what is he waiting for? So basically, he's waiting for whatever he saw that he feels like eating. So other than those antelope species that we were talking about, they'll also eat things like birds and mice and lizards and scorpions when they feel like it. And because he's a younger leopard, he's just about 2 years old, there are things that will catch his eye other than some of the medium-sized antelope species. And so whatever it is that's caught his eye here, he has crouched down low enough, but he's still looking every now and then, and he's trying his best not to move overtly. So from the angle that I'm sitting, I can't necessarily tell exactly what he's seeing. And because I'm live with you all, I can't ask the vehicle that he crept underneath. But we're just going to have to wait. We're going to wait with bated breath. Karen from New Mexico, hello as well. And Lori from New York, hello. It's nice to have you guys on our action. Those comments and those questions as much as you would like, and we will try and answer as much as we can. Oh, he's moving slightly. Whatever he's seeing is still interesting. Do you see that? See how do any of you have cats at home, domestic cats at home? They'll do a very similar thing when they've noticed something that catches their eye that they want to eat. Now, there's some really amazing footage that's out there of leopards chasing tree squirrels up through trees and catching them, and monkeys as well. So it's not just the large things like we talked about. This could be a tree squirrel that he sees. Megan, you're saying that he's got gorgeous eyes. He does have gorgeous eyes. Every leopard's eye color is different. He's got gorgeous yellow eyes. I'm so sorry that it seems as if my voice is dropping in and out from your end. From our end, it seems to be okay, but we'll work on that problem a little bit. So excuse me if it sounds like I'm coming in and then going out. I can't really talk louder than the way that I'm talking now. We've got 2 other vehicles in the sighting with us, and also he's interested in something, so I don't want my normally loud voice to disturb any of the scenarios that could possibly take place here. He is slightly losing interest in whatever caught his interest. But then he looks back and he catches it again. Sarah, you're saying that this is the coolest cat. He is indeed one of the coolest. One of the territorial males is my absolute favorite. But Hasana is, yes, he's a beautiful little boy, and I can't wait to come into his own. His neck is thicker. Ooh. We had a European roller fly past and then see Hasana and have a little bit of a... There. What do you see, my boy? What is drawing your attention? It's interesting because he's got that bush that's in front of him, but we've also got a lot of brush packing that's on the side of the dam wall here. That brush packing is used to help stop the erosion of the soil from coming off the dam wall and making the dam wall too thin. So it's possible that whatever he's looking at is inside this bush, but it's also possible that but I'm feeling more like it's in this tree area. They'll also do things like try and catch mongoose. I've seen that before. This type of stalking you're seeing, you can actually see all the little... Lori, it could most definitely be a bird. That's definitely a possibility. A bird, a squirrel, an impala farther in the distance we can't see. But I don't know, my gut's saying that it's inside this tree. Look, you see that? You see those tiny little movements he's doing? He's trying to sort his body, the angle of his body, just enough to be able that when he needs to move, to grab it, but not move too much now to scare whatever it is away. I'm going to put my binoculars on quickly and see if I can see possibly what he sees. Now, if it is something like it's a squirrel. I can see the tree squirrel. It's just come down. The dead log here makes a funny little L shape towards the top, and there's a little tree squirrel that's in there that's come out. Now, normally tree squirrels will see a leopard and they start making their alarm call, but this tree squirrel's not alarm calling at all. So on the top right-hand side of your screen, can you see that thicker branch that's moving from right to left? And just towards the top, there's a gap just sitting on top of that branch, and that's what he's staring at. So that tree squirrel must have been moving in and out of these these logs that are here that have hollowed out a little bit, and he has really taken a liking to this tree squirrel. Now, part of it might be just because of prey that moves so quickly. Milani, you're curious to know how long they can stay like this. Milani, it could be 5 minutes. It could be hours. Before I started working with Safari Live, one of my good friends is one of the cameramen here. He's been a cameraman sub for quite a while. And he was telling me that they waited, I think it was something like 3 hours for another one of our male leopards, Tingana, who was crouching over a hole where a warthog had gone, waiting for this warthog to come out. And I believe that Tingana ended up waiting through the night, if I remember correctly. but viewers, the viewers that have seen us for so long must correct me on that if I'm wrong. He eventually didn't get the warthog, but he stayed in that one position for an extremely long time. So it depends on how hungry and how much he actually wants it. Ferg is just zooming in there. You can see this tree squirrel moving. Cynthia, you're saying that it looks like Tingana has been eating well. Yeah, Tingana is not thin by any stretch of the imagination. He's not overly fat. He is definitely very healthy. Yeah, so the Hasana, of course, yep. Hasana has not been starving himself by any stretch of the imagination. Melissa, you're saying snack time, indeed. But Melissa, it's also not just snack time. It's also practicing his skills. That's also what it is. Now, I like this wide shot that Ferg has. I'm going to explain what the tree squirrel is doing while you all keep an eye on Hasana. The tree squirrel is now moving to the right-hand side of that log, and he's just busy. He probably has a little cache of seeds and nuts that are inside of there. He might also possibly live inside of there, depending. And so he's just moving around, going about his daily business. Now, I'm finding it amazing. He either hasn't seen this leopard or he just doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's a squirrel that doesn't realize that this leopard can catch him. And I think Hassan is aware of this because he's not moving too much. And what I personally think he's waiting for is for this tree squirrel to come down out of the tree. Don't think you can catch me. And so he's teasing him a little bit, although usually when tree squirrels tease leopards, they do a bit more of an alarm sound and bounce up and down. That squirrel's not doing this at all. Could also be possible that it's a younger squirrel and just isn't aware that he needs. You see the intent on the face there. Now, what's very interesting is the space that he's decided to lie is literally right in front of one of the other vehicles, just to the right-hand side of the tracker seat. So on my vehicle, we don't have a tracker. It's just myself and Ferg, who's on camera. So that vehicle that's there can't actually move without possibly disturbing what's happening here. So they have to wait it out. Very similar to the rest of us. His tail is completely flat. The teeny little part to that is just to the left-hand side. His tail is very flat. If he were to be moving his tail, that squirrel would pick up on it. Hello, Moses from California. I hope you're enjoying this special action broadcast live from South Africa in the Sabi Sands with our very curious cat Hasana, busy keeping an eye on a very cheeky squirrel. All right, this vehicle unfortunately is going to have to try to move. He's doing it as quietly as he possibly can without disturbing too much. Not doing much, so don't fret, but he does have to make sure to take his guests to a place that suits everybody, and every now and then we do have to move, but notice how it's not changing anything to do with the sighting. That squirrel is carrying on doing what that squirrel wants to do, and Hasana is also doing everything that he wants to do, which is to lie very still. The tree. Now, the intent look on Hasana's face has not changed, but the breathing has changed slightly. He's taking in some larger breaths because I think he thinks that this squirrel is going to come down out of this tree. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see with bated breath. Eustace, you've just joined us with our special action broadcast. This is Hassana, one of the young male leopards. We're sitting here on the backside of Chitwa Dam, and he is busy stalking a squirrel who's giving him a very hard time at getting access, and he knows it. So he's waiting patiently for the squirrel to come to the squirrel to this tree. Tina from California, thank you so much for those kind words. Tina was telling us that this is the most amazing part of her morning routine that she's added for herself and for her son. Tina, I'm so glad that the two of you enjoy our Safari Live broadcasts as much as you do. So for any of you that are new to the Safari Live broadcast, because you're watching from air live, you can catch us on YouTube. You can Google Safari Live or Wild Earth and find out our schedule off of our website, and then log on to YouTube every morning and every evening and watch myself, Scotty D, Tristan, Steph, James, Taylor, Ralph, Jamie, and Brent as we carry on doing safaris live for you from Sabi Sands in South Africa and from the Maasai Mara in Kenya. And don't forget, it's also interactive. So all of these questions and comments that I'm answering live with you now are all coming through to our final control, and then they're feeding them through to me. So basically, you type it in on the Twitter or whatever social platform you happen to be on, or on the YouTube chat, and then they come through, and then I answer them for you out here in the bush. He is so patient. I could never be this patient with this squirrel. But also, having been guiding for well over a decade, I know that this will Oh my goodness, Mina, you want to know what would happen if I'd walk out and approach that leopard? Mina, this is a wild leopard. We have a social contract that involves us staying in the vehicle when they're this close, and then he carries on his normal everyday life. So I am just going to stop now. I'm not in control of this sighting. There are other guys that are in control of this sighting, so there is some vehicle movement coming in and out. I unfortunately can't do anything about it, so I just need you all to bear with me on that. It's not affecting Hassana. It's not affecting this tree squirrel sighting, but just please excuse the noise. So that would be bad. That would be completely unethical on our side to get out of the vehicle. He would do one of two things. He would either be so pissed off at me that he would charge me, or he would be so astounded that this crazy lady has gotten out of her vehicle that she's supposed to stay in, and he would run away. Now, vice versa, you can also do game viewing activities, not just from a vehicle, but on foot. But when you're doing that, you're not driving up to an animal this close and then getting out and going, oh, I'm on foot with an animal. You might drive out a little ways to an area, and then you get off and you do a proper walk, and then when you approach the wildlife on foot, you're doing so in a manner to try and make sure that they never see that you're there, hear, or smell you. So yeah, getting out of the car in a scenario like this, oh, that poor animal would get such a fright, and also it would completely ruin his hunting routine that's happening now. And we are so lucky that he sees us as part of his natural environment, so he carries on doing his daily activities with us being right here, that I would ruin that for him, breaking that social contract. That squirrel's gotten down pretty low. Now it just needs to be dumb enough to come out. Philip, you're asking what he was hunting. It's a little squirrel, a little tree squirrel. So in this part of South Africa, we only get one kind of squirrel. We get a tree squirrel. If you start moving north and west, you get tree squirrels as well as ground squirrels. We don't have anything like chipmunks. Congo National Park squirrels as well as sun squirrels, which are similar. I don't think you guys understand. still as he's doing right now, and keep still and watch this squirrel move into hopefully just the right position for him to be able to pounce on and eat. I'm also finding it slightly amusing that he's chosen the squirrel because it's cooled down quite a bit from earlier, and I can count off the top of my head maybe sort of 50-60 impala that are he could possibly get one. Now, that being said, part of his actions doing this, again, is to work his muscles. He's a younger leopard, to work his muscles and his skills. Dark within an hour here. So he might just be wanting a little bit of play action here and then waiting for it to get dark, and then he's going to carry on with impala. All right, everybody, I think we have had an amazing action broadcast. I think the best thing for everybody now is what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up this action broadcast that's been put out to the special platforms. And what I'm going to say to everybody is you must log on to YouTube, to Safari Live, after we log off here, and we're going to carry on watching him and wait and see what happens, because I think this is going to take another sort of 15 to 20 minutes. So for all the viewers who are usually with us, keep staying with us on YouTube. For any of the viewers that just pick up the little tings you get from the social media, hop on over to YouTube. And to all of our new viewers, Safari Live on the YouTube, Sunset Safari on the 28th of December 2017. And we'll see you all over then. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm slightly little scraggly side of there. That, or this is the dumbest squirrel we've ever seen, and he's about to come out into the open. Hassan is going to get him. Who knows? But this is an extremely exciting sighting. I mean, the anticipation is epic. And Hassan is actually getting more warm by the second because of the amount of concentration and stealth he has to use in this tiny little compressed body, waiting for the exact moment that this tree squirrel will